Ever stared at a product page, saw a sleek photo of a pressure booster pump, and thought it would magically turn your weak shower into a steady rain? Then you ordered it, installed it, and spent the next week dealing with rattling pipes, a pump that cycles on and off like a nervous squirrel, and a water bill that suddenly looks like a credit card statement. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. A lot of homeowners get lured by the promise of instant pressure boost, only to end up with a piece of equipment that feels more like an extra headache than a solution. That's why today's review is all about helping you spot the red flags before you click Add to Cart. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The Grundfos SCALA2 115V is marketed as a compact, plug-and-play booster that can move up to 60 liters per minute through 1-inch fittings. On paper, that seems like plenty for a typical single-family home, especially if you're dealing with a low-rise building that only has a municipal supply of around 30 psi. What you need to know, though, is how those numbers translate into the everyday experience of running a dishwasher, filling a bathtub, and keeping a garden hose from sputtering. First, let's talk about installation. The unit is designed to sit inline between your main water line and the point of use, with 1-inch female pipe thread, FPT, connections on both ends. If your home already has 1-inch copper or PX pipe, the mechanical fit is straightforward. Just tighten the fittings, turn the power on, and the pump should prime itself. The catch is that many older houses still run inch pipe, or have a mix of materials that require adapters. Those extra fittings not only add cost, they also introduce potential leak points, especially if the adapters aren't rated for the same pressure range the pump will generate. In my own test setup, I had to buy a pair of 1-inch reducing couplings, which added about $30 to the total spend and a few extra minutes of tightening. Once it's hooked up, the real test is how the pump behaves under load. Grund's marketing touts a smart control that monitors pressure and shuts off when you reach a set point, preventing the motor from running dry. In practice, the unit does hold the pressure steady, but there's a noticeable lag the first time you open a faucet after the pump has been idle. I was waiting for my morning shower, turned the tap on, and heard the pump kick in with a low hum that lasted roughly 10 seconds before the water finally came out with decent force. That delay is something you'll feel every time you go from off to on. And for people who value an instant rush of water, think a rushed household with kids getting ready for school, it can feel irritating. Another quirk shows up when you have multiple fixtures running at once. The 60 LPM rating is the maximum flow the pump can push, but that figure assumes a single, steady demand. When I ran the dishwasher and a bathroom sink simultaneously, the pressure at the farthest faucet dropped noticeably, and the pump's internal pressure sensor started cycling on and off to try to keep up. The result was a faint throbbing in the walls and a slight vibration you can hear through the floorboards. For a small apartment with only one bathroom, this might never be an issue, but a larger home with several bathrooms and a laundry room will likely notice the strain. Now let's look at the practical strengths. The biggest win for the SCALA2 is its compact footprint. It's about the size of a large toaster, which means you can tuck it under a sink cabinet or in a mechanical closet without sacrificing much space. That's a real plus if you're dealing with cramped utility rooms. Also, the unit runs on standard 115-volt residential power, so you don't need to hire an electrician to install a dedicated 240-volt circuit. Just make sure the circuit you plug it into can handle the draw, which is roughly 1 amp under normal conditions. For homeowners who want a quick fix without a major electrical overhaul, that simplicity is appealing. On the downside, the pump's durability is a concern that isn't obvious from the spec sheet. Grundfos is known for industrial-grade reliability, but the SCALA2 is essentially a downscaled version aimed at the consumer market. In the few online forums I skimmed, owners have reported the motor humming loudly after a few months of use, and a few have even mentioned the unit failing to start after a power surge. While I can't confirm exact failure rates, the fact that the product holds a 1-star average rating from over 200 reviewers suggests a pattern of disappointment that goes beyond a single bad batch. Who should consider buying this pump? If you live in a low-rise apartment or a small townhouse where the main water pressure is consistently below 30 psi, and you only need a modest boost for a single bathroom and perhaps a kitchen faucet, the SCALA2 could be enough. Its ease of installation and low power